Hello everyone, and welcome to The Save Point. Save Point is a podcast that wants to bring Bible-based reviews on video games. We will be judging on two main criteria, the quality of the game and the content of the game. Both will be scored on a scale of 1 to 5. Today's game we are looking at is 20 Minutes Till Dawn. 20 Minutes Till Dawn is a survival roguelike. A roguelike is a game where you start over every single time you play it. Basically the complete opposite of an RPG or role-playing game. It's made to be beaten in 20 minutes. In 20 Minutes Till Dawn, you play as a cast of characters. There are 12 in all, and due to lack of a better term, very anime. Each of the different characters have different abilities that can fit into any player's playstyle. My personal favorite is Diamond, because she just has a bunch of health and can be used to tank a bunch of hits. That should tell you a good bit about my playstyle. Some of the characters have passive buffs, or thing that makes them better, to do different types of damage, while others have abilities that can give you an advantage. Say, one gives you an increase to burn damage, while another one summons a giant tentacle. There are also multiple weapons that you can play with, 11 to be exact. If you played every weapon with every character, that is 132 different games you could play. Each game lasting 20 minutes, that means that without changing anything other than your character and weapon, you could play for 2,640 minutes or 44 hours. Now, on to actually the weapons. You start out with just a revolver, but other weapons can be unlocked with the in-game currency called souls. Some of the guns make sense, like dual SMGs, or submachine guns, flamethrower, or grenade launchers. And then you have a couple of interesting guns. You got the bat gun. It shoots a literal bat at the enemies. The character and guns are helpful, but you will get run over as time goes on. But you have help. That help comes in the form of upgrades. Upgrades up your power in many different ways. There are 21 upgrade trees, each with 4 different upgrades. So that's 84 different upgrades you can unlock. I've barely reached level 20 in an average game, so it would be incredibly difficult for someone to unlock all of them in one game. My personal favorite is either the projectile tree or the bullet damage tree. There are also some fun ones, like a tree where you can just unlock a dragon. There are also a few special upgrades that can only be unlocked by unlocking some different upgrades that are called synergies. These synergies can be very useful if you want to maximize your potential in one area like health or bullet damage. I checked, the maximum health you can get is 20. The character with the most health starts with 7, so that's a lot. You can also get some special upgrades for just your character you're playing with. Each character has 3 special upgrades that are themed after them and what makes the character unique. The next upgrade variant is called Rune. The runes are upgrades that can be used to boost any stat by small intervals, and the upgrades go from game to game, so it's the only non-rogue-like part of this game. Examples of runes include increases to bullet damage by 2%, or heal an HP every 4 levels. They are really good, but they are also crazy expensive. 12,800 souls for one rune. That is crazy. Now, for the last upgrade variant, finally, is the tome. Tomes are gained from defeating a boss. There are 12 different tomes you can choose from. You have a selection for 3 after defeating any boss. Many of the tomes also have debuffs or effects that make your character worse alongside the improvements. My personal favorite of the tome is the Tome of Elements, which upgrades your duration of elemental damage. The enemies are extremely varied, but not quite as varied as the upgrades, but still different. There are 21 different enemy types in total. 13 common enemies, 3 elite enemies, and 5 bosses. Why there are more bosses than elite enemies, I got no clue. It would make more sense for there to be more elite enemies than bosses, but, you know, here we are. The best name for an enemy I have ever seen is in this game. It's called the Splooter. S-P-L-O-D-R. Splooter. It explodes. I just love it. It's kind of like a creeper. Anyway, the elite enemies are basically mini-bosses that spawn around intermittently. The bosses are, well, bosses. The big boys. They have health ranging from 2,500 to 35,000. That's just crazy! The thing that separates the bosses from the elite enemies is that a red barrier spawns around to make an arena around the player. 20 Minutes Till Dawn is a surprisingly in-depth game that allows you to create an unkillable character that can live indefinitely. It's easy to pick up but hard to master. As a roguelike, it specializes in replayability. Although the basis of the game is lasting around 20 minutes, it has a speedrunning community for some reason. High score is 21 minutes and 31 seconds. I will note that 20 Minutes Till Dawn does cost $5. Anyway, on to the rating. For quality, 20 Minutes Till Dawn is a very varied and enjoyable game. The game is super replayable. The software requirements are very light. If your computer can run operating softwares, it can run this game. Cons, I'm not the biggest fan of the anime-esque art style, but that's just a personal preference. For quality, it gets a 5 out of 5. For content, the content is varied and extremely interesting. For cons, there is a lot of killing involved. It's the entire game. There's no secondary objective. Some people really do not like anime, so if you're one of those people, I would not suggest this game. Some of the upgrades have to do with necromancy, and a lot have to do with magic. For content, I give it a 2 out of 5. That brings the overall rating to a 3.5 out of 5. As for my personal thoughts, this is a very interesting game. I enjoy it. It's not my favorite. It's more of a neutral one for me. It's a game that I can just stick on a low-powered laptop, and if I'm out and bored and nothing else to do, I can just play this. But outside of it, I don't really see it as a big, grinding game I would play. Well, that about sums up this episode of The Save Point. I hope you all have enjoyed this episode and found its contents helpful. The Discord link is in the description. Thank you all for listening, and may the Lord bless you and give you peace.